All right, good evening, everybody. We are ready for our first winter storm of the season. Feels like the first winter storm warning for sure. Feels like the first big one. I know we had a couple 3-inch, 4-inch storms, whatever it may be, but this is the first one. We have 6 inches or more in the forecast, which means we'll get our winter storm warning. So I'm pretty excited. I think this is going to be a fun storm, hitting kind of at a low impact time overall. School's not in session. I mean, some people probably prefer the school be in session, but it's hitting on a holiday weekend on a Sunday night. So pretty much the lowest impact time you could ask for, if that's your thing. But what we're going to do tonight is we're just going to walk you through it. What I'm seeing, the latest modeling, very interesting stuff here. So you're definitely going to want to stay tuned as we work through the first 3 or 4 minutes of the video. Then I plan on going in a little more in depth. So if you want to stick around for the meteorology behind it, kind of the mechanics and what happened with this forecast and how we progress to this warning level snowfall for everybody, by all means, stick around, feel free. And then obviously I can take questions at the end there. So that's really what I plan to do. Without further ado, I'll take you through it. So I've already have this thing fast forwarded to tomorrow mid-morning. So this is 10 a.m. tomorrow. You're starting to see snow into the DC metro, snow almost all the way to Philadelphia, 10 a.m. It's going to quickly fill in here as the afternoon progresses. So originally we were looking at around 1, 2 p.m. start time was the earliest the models had pushed it. Now they're back a little bit to 3 or 4 p.m. I kept that 2 to 4 p.m. the whole time, just as a way to kind of meet in the middle, if you will. But I like that 2 to 4 p.m. timing. I think right now that's kind of where I'm at. You'll note some of the modeling here. Central Connecticut, Eastern Connecticut starts the precipitation as a little bit of rain. A lot of people have commented on that. I really don't see it panning out that way. I think this is a little bit too warm. Maybe some of the stuff that doesn't hit the ground, or you could see some drizzle or something like that. But I think most of the precipitation that falls in this storm that's meaningful will fall in the form of snow. So take that with a grain of salt. But what you'll see here is this will quickly go over snow. So this is 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and pretty much, Long Island's all snow. Connecticut, except for maybe the southern New London County, is all snow. And we're really going to get into the thick of the banding here in Western Connecticut. You can see Western and Central Connecticut tries to set up a secondary band. That's exactly what we want to see if we're looking for heavier snowfall totals. And that's just going to kind of continue now. This is early evening. Keep in mind, this is 7, 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. These are big snow hours for us on the future radar. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the temperatures in a minute. And it's going to make a lot of sense why those are going to kind of be the money hours of the storm. So it all winds down. Again, relatively short-lived, which does create kind of a low ceiling, or a low ceiling for this storm. I don't really think we can go much past 10 or 12 inches because it's in and out of here so quick. And this is now, 4 a.m. It's all gone. So, really 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. is what I've been saying. Might end up being even a little bit shorter than that. Might be 3 or 4 p.m. to 1 a.m., something like that. For the exact timing. But again, this is a really healthy look for a snow event here in Connecticut. This is a really good look. The track's right where you want it to be. Your low is going to be tucked in really close to the benchmark here. And, several hours of consistent snowfall. Now, let me show you the temperatures. And again, this wants to start it as a little bit of rain. Look how cold this is going to get in the afternoon. But midday Sunday, we're up to 36, 37 degrees. As we fast forward, you'll watch these colder temperatures work in northwest to southeast. You're going to see mid-20s, and then you're going to see teens. So this is by 9 p.m. 9 p.m., 22 modeled in Danbury, 18 in Poughkeepsie. Really, really cold temperatures. That's going to make for some high ratio fluff, we call it, right? So the snow might start out heavy. Everyone was always asking, it's going to be heavy snow. It's going to be a light snow. It's kind of a combination of the storm. And we really didn't know exactly how it was going to go until we get to the short range modeling today. But at the onset, we're 32 or 33. It's going to be heavy snow. right? It's going to be slick snow. The ground might even still be moist from the rain that fell today, the fog out there tonight. But as we go through time, the snow that falls between that 7 p.m. and midnight period is going to be high ratio fluff, and we're going to boost up those totals. So that's why I still like my 5 to 9 inches across a good chunk of Connecticut. I might even end up expanding that 5 to 9 inch range down into more into central Connecticut, even south central Connecticut, like the New Haven area. I could see get 7 inches if this kind of scenario plays out. And again, really cold. We can fast forward even here more. This is Monday morning. So, I was talking to some DOT guys today. I was talking to some landscape crews. Like, if you don't get rid of the snow, it's going to become glacial, right? I mean, this is 11 degrees in Danbury on a Monday morning, 7 a.m., 7 a.m. We're looking at 11, and I mean, maybe we get to 20 that day. And then anything you see here in the whites, the greens, this is all negative. And the model only goes out so far, but you can see it's going to get really, really cold Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's going to become glacial if you don't get rid of it. So we need to shovel the snow. We need to remove the snow as quick as possible because, yeah, I mean, it's just going to get colder and colder and colder as the week wears on. So that's one model. I'll show you another one quickly, and it's pretty much the same idea, but I'll show you another one that I was very impressed with this evening. So this is the NAM. The NAM has not handled the storm well at all. Not a lot of the models have. And I really stuck Euro. I stuck GFS through it. The Canadian was very warm. It was almost tracked the low right over Connecticut. The NAM totally lost the storm for a while, and it brought it back. But this is the latest run on the NAM, and I think it actually does a decent job. So I shouldn't hate on it too much. But I think, and at the beginning of the storm here, I think it's doing a better job with the all snow look. So this is more of what I expect to see. Just kind of maybe some rain southeast, New London County, but most of Connecticut, when it comes in, this is 4 p.m., it starts to snow. So again, HRRR, which is our best short range model, and the NAM 3K, which is what you're looking at now, which is our second best short range model, both have it around 2 or 3 p.m. start time with temperatures 32 to 35 degrees. So if you're out at 2 p.m. and it starts snowing, it's not one of those situations where I don't think you have to hurry home necessarily. You probably have a couple hours before things really go downhill. But again, the temperatures will drop as we head into the evening. Whatever starts falling will turn into a powder. It's going to pile up like crazy. And if you don't get rid of it, it's going to stick around at least for the next week. So as we get into the evening here, similar story as the HRRR. You're seeing those heavy snow bands try to work through. This actually, if you really took off the hood on this model and looked underneath, it's trying to set up a snow band right across Western Connecticut. So it's really liking the Western Connecticut area from Fairfield County to Northern New Haven County to even Hartford County, Litchfield County, all get into that really heavy band of snow. And so while the model's not necessarily printing out a foot, somewhere in there where that deformation band sets up, somebody's going to see a foot, right? I think that's my maximum for the storm is about 12 inches, 10 or 12. Somebody in Connecticut's probably going to get that. If not Connecticut, somebody in the Hudson Valley or somebody in the Berkshires will get that. But it's just a matter of where that band sets up. So this particular model, it wants to do it in that northwestern Connecticut area. And the model's at the surface, they don't show you that well. It kind of just it all looks dark blue. But where it's really going to pile up like crazy is where that forcing is, and you're getting what we call a really good lift into the dendritic growth zone. All that means is that you're making snowflakes like crazy, and those snowflakes will pile up once they fall. So again, let me just show you the temperatures here. On this model, it's going to be a similar story once again. But yeah, so beginning of the storm, it is a little bit cooler. We're about 32 in Danbury when the snow starts falling, 34 Windsor locks. As we head through the storm, this is now 9-10 p.m. This is where the height of the storm here. We're down at 26, and colder air just keeps coming at 25, 24, and then we're down to 19 by the time midnight comes around. It's still snowing at 19 degrees. So, we go from 32 at the start, 19, temperature's going to drop like a rock. Anything will freeze. And like I said, if you don't get rid of it Monday morning, it will stick around. I think the best strategy would be to like put as much salt as possible down. And I hate saying that because the roads are so salty and it just makes my car look like crap. And it's so corrosive. But as much salt as you can down on Monday, let the sunshine work it a little bit because, Monday night we're going down at near zero. And then Tuesday, we're going to go, and the high is going to be in the teens. And then we do a near zero again Tuesday night. So it just doesn't get, at some point the salt doesn't work at all. You can buy the best salt, but it's like good down to a certain temperature. And even that is usually a little marketing behind that. It's really only good down to like 20, 25. And the DOT guys will tell you that. So yeah, long story short, good setup for a snowstorm. I'm seeing a lot of positive signs here in terms of the track. We can look at that here really quick, but essentially, let me see if I can find a better. There we go. When we see that track just south of Nantucket, I always say a Nantucket track's not necessarily bad for Western Connecticut. I think when it tracks over Nantucket, it's almost preferred. You want to see it a little bit inside the 70-40 benchmark, 40-70 benchmark. That's what we would say. And a little bit south of Nantucket. And that's pretty much where this thing goes. Nantucket's that island right here. The low's here. So, we're, probably 20, 25 miles southeast. That's almost ideal as far as the track. And again, you're seeing that heavy snow. We're really trying to set up a heavy snow band here over Northwest Connecticut. Some of the other models, like if you look at the global models, they have that band a little bit farther northeast, where it's almost like Albany, Southern Vermont, Berkshire area into New Hampshire. But again, these short range models that are coming out tonight, now kind of shifting my ideas a little bit, I might have to add a few higher totals here into Western Connecticut if we think that trend is going to continue and we get that heaviest snow band over Western Connecticut. We could get a foot, right? Right now I have 5 to 9 inches for that area, and I like that. But again, if we're seeing that forcing over and over again and all the models start jumping on, I think it's going to be in Western Connecticut, then I will up the totals. But 5 to 9 for now. At the end of the day, too, you got to think about it like the way I think about it is if I'm forecasting 7 or 8 inches and it ends up being 11 or 12, the overall impact to that is not super different. Like the plow guys, it's still almost plowing a foot either way, right? So sometimes you are splitting hairs. I think, you look at it and you're like, okay, 7, 8 inches, a foot, kind of the same deal, especially if the timing's the same. So just to recap, if you just jumped on, we're looking at basically 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. for start time. Some of these newer models are leaning a little bit later, closer to 4. And then it's out of here by 2, 3, 4 in the morning. But the bulk of it's really 6 p.m. to midnight. So those 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. hours, I'm sure the roads will go downhill quick, especially it's dark out. And then it's probably going to be nasty through midnight. What a lot of the crews do, especially when a storm starts on a Sunday, a lot of the crews will go home around midnight. They'll get some rest and they'll come back in at like 4 or 5 in the morning. So the roads might not be that touched during that interval, right? And then you have to wait till Monday morning. But again, Sunday night, holiday weekend, kind of the lowest impact that we could have. Imagine if this came in like a Tuesday afternoon during like a regular work week. It'd be crazy. But, alas, here we are. So I see 30 comments so far. It's a little more than I thought. So I'll try to answer some questions here. Yeah, absolutely. So Jack worked with my dad, big snow removal guy. Yeah, David. I think it's possible that we get 10 to 12 inches. I would say that's the max. That's the ceiling. And it is a relatively low ceiling. Some storms we say, the ceiling's like 24, 30 inches, right? If it's tracking the right way and it's a slow moving storm. But here we're talking about, really maximizing a 6 to 8 hour period of peak snowfall rates. So you'd have to average an inch an hour to get to our 6 to 8 inches. Could we do that? Absolutely. Can we get 2 inches an hour, 3 inches an hour for some of that? Sure. Especially if we get under the right banding. But I like my 5 to 9. I think that 10 to 12 is probably in the 10% or less chance of happening. Thank you. Yeah, Dave. I mean, you can get outdoors. You might get some nice shots of, Dave does a lot of work around New Milford. Maybe some New Milford downtown shots in the snow would be cool. Um, yeah, Chris asked the same question that everyone's asking me. How, what's the, wet snow transition to powder? Kind of a weird deal. Um, yeah, I don't think it's gonna be 12 inches of wet. If the most that accumulates will probably be the fluff. So I could see it start as wet snow and then transition over to that fluffy factor, where you do get those 2 inch an hour rates. Yeah, icing. I'm not worried about icing in the terms of like freezing rain or anything. I think you're going to get, even if it starts as rain, which I don't think it will, but even if it does, you'll just flip to regular snow. So you could get an icing layer, but you're not going to get like a freezing rain or anything like that. It's just going to be colder air working onto a wet snow, which I mean, will definitely make it slippery. But not nothing like catastrophic in terms of icing. Um, yeah, so this is a good question. I think to answer this most effectively, I would say it is a really cold air mass in place. Right, we're in the middle to late January, which is kind of our climatologically coldest time of year anyway. So all the air masses that come down from Siberia or Alaska or Canada are all going to be cold. But he makes a good point here. When you do have fresh snowpack, especially several inches, you do get that radiational cooling. And that basically the fresh snow reflects all the sunlight. And that helps keep it colder during the day, which it definitely will. So that's definitely part of it. Yeah. So as far as roads getting dicey, like I said, I think snow breaks out somewhere between 2 and 4. I'd probably add on an hour to that, with the sun angle going down 5 p.m., 6 p.m. I'd probably say somewhere in there the roads start getting bad. When it happens, it'll happen quick. That's always the kind of the game we play, right? It'll be okay for a while, and all of a sudden it'll go off the cliff. Um, but yeah, I think afternoon you're probably okay with temperatures near freezing and all the salt that's already on the road. And the snow rate's a little bit lighter. But as soon as we get into, I mean, we didn't even look at the model here, right? So this is 6 p.m., 7 p.m. You start getting into the heavier rates, and the sun angle's down, and it's getting colder. That's when it's going to go downhill. Thank you, Jill. I hope I am reasonable in my interpretation of the weather patterns. That is always the goal. Um, yeah, I try not to get too high. I try not to get too low with the totals. It can be hard sometimes when you see a model that says, oh, it's going to be 14 inches, right? And you want to jump on that and raise your totals. And you see one that says it's going to be 3, and then you want to slash them right away. You try to stay in the middle somewhat, and then let everything else work itself out, and then make slight adjustments. That's what they teach you to do in weather school. So when we go to meteorology school, that's always kind of how we're taught to do it, right? Slight incremental adjustments to get to the change. Yeah, Paul. So no winter storm warning along the shoreline. They do have a winter weather advisory for 3 to 6 inches. So you're right up bumped against that winter storm warning criteria. Winter storm warning being 6 inches or more expected in Connecticut. So could they? I could definitely see, especially if this particular model run looks the same as it does now in the morning, and the HRRR looks the same as it does now in the morning. Those are two American models that the National Weather Service really likes. Um, those, if that stays the same, I could see them expanding that winter storm warning to southern Fairfield and southern New Haven. I think out east it might be a little harder because the temperatures are going to take longer to fall. I'm talking about southern Middlesex, southern London. But southern Fairfield, southern New Haven, I could definitely see getting into the winter storm warning probably sometime tomorrow. Sorry, some of these comments are not safe for work. That's okay. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really cold for that Buffalo game. I was actually just talking to my dad about that. Adam, I'm looking forward to the drone shots. Last year we had a big snow. This time of year, or maybe in February, got some great Candlewood Lake shots. I believe the lake's frozen over too, so it'll be a little bit of a different. We haven't seen that so much, and if it's not frozen over yet, it'll be frozen over by the end of the week, right? Um, okay, yeah. So when I say the models, HRRR, or the HR cubed, as I like to call it, is the high resolution rapid refresh. Blah 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 blah. Whether speak right. All that means is it's one of our short range models that we look at. It refreshes every hour, which is cool too. So you get a new model data every hour. Yeah, I like it. It's really good for two things. Day of snowstorms, it's really good at, and it's good at thunderstorms in the summer because you're getting the data every hour. The European only comes out once every 6 hours. So if we try to look at that for thunderstorms, right, it's going to be like the data is going to be completely different in the morning than it is in the afternoon. You're going to miss so much time, you might miss the whole thing. Yeah, Kim, not trying to scare anyone, right? We're staying 5 to 9 for now for everybody, but that's the high end threshold. That's the high end that we're looking at, 8 to 12. And again, is 7 really that different from 10? Is 8 different from 11? It's kind of like yes and no. Right? At the lower levels, it's a lot different. When you say a 3-inch difference between 1 and 4 is a big difference, but between 8 and 11, I think it's kind of is what it is. Yeah, so Dick Dingy, local legend. Um, they are ice fishing out in Richfield, which is awesome. Have a beer for me, Dick. Thank you. Yep, parking bans up in New Haven, North Haven, Hartford. Yeah, parking ban up in Danbury as well. And I should say, I forgot to say it in my intro, but the Spice City game, our favorite Spice City indoor arena soccer team in Danbury, is canceled and postponed its game tomorrow in the afternoon. Part of the reason for that is the parking garage that's used for Spice City is also used to park cars in Danbury for the level 1 snow emergency. Saw a guy at Big Y yesterday in shorts and flip-flops. He might have to rethink that the next few days. I mean, I have a lot of respect for people that do the shorts and flip-flops year-round. I'm not one of those people, but I respect it. But yeah, so I think we've done a good job in the comments here. Oh yeah, Steve, is there another snow event midweek? Yeah, we're looking at a storm. I can show you quick since we're on the models, right? So let's look at the European model here. Let's look at precipitation. So you'll see, again, zoomed out to the whole U.S., but you'll see the storm tomorrow. Again, good looking storm in the European too. I didn't show this one before, but this is just a classic look. For a nor'easter, good track, all the markings, it's all there. But that next storm, you're going to see down in Texas here. This has meteorologists all over America freaked out, right? Because we're talking about snow in Houston, freezing rain, all like the Texas beaches, which is very rare. And then look at this accumulating snow down into like New Orleans. That's really, really impressive. So I was reading about a storm that happened in 1895 that they're comparing this to. So, I mean, it's very, very extreme, the snowfall here. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, all their shoreline towns. I can't imagine. I'm not super familiar with the climate down there, but I can't imagine they get a lot of big snowstorms, right? And even into like northern Florida, look at that freezing rain and sleet into northern Florida, the Panhandle, into like, was that Savannah, Georgia, Charleston, South Carolina, like cities that don't normally deal with it. They're talking about 6 inches of snow in Myrtle Beach. Like, it's crazy stuff. But anyway, the reason I bring that up. So that storm will eventually move offshore. And we do have high pressure in place, which is like the reason that they're able to get all that snow down there. So it should theoretically block this mostly out to sea. But a few of the models have something light kind of coming up and trying to get into New England here. And this would actually be Tuesday night, Wednesday, and the storm kind of hangs out. The energy kind of hangs out, and then we see something else on Friday try to come up. And that one looks a little more interesting. So we'll watch it. With the pattern, this could easily go out to sea, but this could also be a big ticket storm if the track's right. Like if this tracks from this current spot here up to Nantucket again, Western Connecticut, with all the cold air in place, that'd be a huge storm. So, definitely something to watch. I mean, I don't have confidence 7 days out. I mean, you can see the GFS strike totally different here. I guess it tries. Let's see. So we'll run through it quick, but yeah, same crazy storm in Texas, right? Crazy storm along the Gulf Coast. Shows a little less snow, but still, I mean, anything down there is notable. That storm gets chunked out to sea, and then something tries to reform. Kind of similar idea here. Looks like it mostly scrapes southeast, but again, could that change? Yeah, absolutely. So just really quick, because I pride myself in this stuff and hopefully I'm able to explain it well. I do want to show you why this storm was a little bit hard and how it worked out. And all of that lies, as we always say, in the vorticity. So let me zoom into the East Coast for you here. Okay. So originally, this is kind of it's I know it's complicated looking, but we're gonna get to the bottom of it here. So this wave here over Tennessee, North Carolina, this is the big energy associated with our snow tomorrow. This is what's going to create our nice swath of snow across New England. Now, this kind of disorganized energy out here over like off the North Carolina coast, off the Delmarva, that's what's going to kind of help this energy, help the surface low scoot a little bit more out to sea, a little bit more east. It looked for a while like this piece of energy was going to spawn the low here, and it was going to move up right over Connecticut, which would be a no-go for us for snow, right? That would be more of a rain mix track. So that was my concern yesterday. Some of the models had this, we're going to develop the low here over the Appalachians, and we're just going to scoot it right up over Connecticut. But the Euro saw this the whole time the best. And it saw this energy out here helping spawn a surface low. I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's just look at the surface here. So again, yesterday, some of the models had something forming here, moving straight up. The Euro said, no. We're going to form something out here, and anything that forms over North Carolina is going to be dragged up the coast along with it a little bit to the east. And these are the little idiosyncrasies that make or break a snowstorm here in Connecticut, right? This is why it's so tough. But yeah, then you get a nice perfect track because it's really, I mean, you can almost see it trying to do something in here, but it can't because it's being dragged out by that earlier energy. Now, that earlier energy wasn't picked up by like the Canadian model, so that's why the models were so different. And the Canadian model had essentially a rainstorm in Connecticut. But again, I always trust the Euro in those kind of situations. Maybe some folks on Twitter, some big name meteorologists don't. Not naming names, but in this case, the European kind of won in a sense. It still came north and west, so it still trended towards some of the other modeling, but I think it had a better handle on the whole evolution, which is what we look for as meteorologists. That's the whole point. And again, I know boring meteorology lessons here, but I'd be remiss if I didn't share this. But that's why you get that low track almost in a perfect spot, like we said. So, I mean, these models are all really kind of in line now. So that's the Euro, the GFS, same spot, right? This is why it starts building confidence. We're 24 hours out. This is where we can say, okay, snowstorm. We can look at, like I said, the shorter range stuff. So let's look at the NAM again. Very similar, right? Tracks to nearly the same spot. Really solid. And then the HRR, I'm not going to load it because I'd have to go back around, but same spot. So when all four of those line up, it took a while, but it happened. We're in good shape. So snow's coming. Snow's coming. Yeah, somebody asked about New London County. We can zoom in. I haven't showed the full snow map yet. Will be the last thing I do here. Been on a killing a half hour. I'll get all those messages. I can't watch your videos. They're a half hour long. Well, it's like the point of a live, I feel like, is you tune in for 2 minutes and then you tune out. I'm not trying to retain people for half an hour. I mean, maybe if you want to stay on and talk weather for a half hour and hear me mumble, that's fine. But like I'm fine with you tuning in for 90 seconds, 2 minutes, and then just dropping it. That's cool, But we'll zoom into Hartford. I think some people just don't know like how the internet works. But like nobody has an attention span for a half hour video. I don't care what the subject matter is, right? You could be into it. You're not gonna watch it. I'm like, come on. Yeah, so I'll go back. I had to go back 2 runs. Oh, look at that snow. Look at that snow. Gets colder. See that? But let's look at the totals here. You said New London County. I had to remind myself. Let's see. So when you look at snow ratios on maps, I think I mentioned this in my last live video, but you can either do it 2 ways. You can do it 10-1, or they call it Kuchera. I like the Kuchera in this one because that takes into account your fluff factor. So I think it'll just be more accurate. So this model is really pretty positive for New London County, right? You only have a winter weather advisory right now. Will that be changed to a winter storm warning? Maybe. So this is the HRR. Let's check out the NAM. And I mean, look at your city. If you're on live right now and you're just tuning in, look at your city. Find Danbury 6.3, Waterbury 6.5. Is that Meriden 6.9? Hartford 6.4. A lot of 6s and 7s on the map here. But yeah, let's look at the NAM quick. Similar idea. So they're actually pretty lock and step now at 0Z, which is cool. Yeah, 6.4 Danbury. You see it. 6s and 7s a lot. The immediate coastal cities are closer to 5. But this is more of a widespread 3 to 6, 4 to 8, right? This isn't like something where, Northwest Connecticut's going to get the most, Southeast Connecticut's going to get the least. These runs are a little bit colder, so we're watching that. Yeah, Christina, accumulation, Southern, Fairfield, Westport, kind of the same idea. I have you right now in 3 to 6 in my map. Looks like the latest modeling has got you a little closer to the 6. I'll show you why there's a gradient though. So if you look at like the Euro is still favoring, I think Litchfield County is probably the highest. And then, you get lower amounts towards the shoreline. This is 4 inches Bridgeport, 4 inches New Haven, 3 or 4 inches New London County. And then it's got the 6 inches plus swath, kind of where I drew it on the map. Again, we'll see how it trends. If we do get into that better lift, GFS kind of a similar deal here. I don't know what it's doing with this, like, just random snow bands, I guess, that create this weird pattern across Connecticut. Usually you don't see the Hartford area get more than some of the hills in like southern Litchfield County. So I kind of doubt that happens, but it's one model. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you take it holistically, right, if we're looking at snow maps, I'll run through them really quick one more time, and I promise I will leave. But Euro, we have to go backwards quick, but the HRR is like a widespread 6, 7, 8, and the NAM's a widespread 6, 7, 8. So we're fairly locked in. Again, do I think there's upside to 10? I didn't change the NAM. That's funny. Do I think there's upside? Somebody could get 10, somebody could get 12. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you'll see bands set up, and it's not going to be exactly where the model has it, right? Some like this one likes Boston for some reason. Like, okay. But somewhere somebody will get 10 or 12 somewhere in Connecticut or the Berkshires or Massachusetts. And somebody will probably get a little bit less than 7. Somebody will get 4 or 3 where there's subsidence, right? Where there's sinking air. It just kind of random at that point. But that's why, when I say the 5 to 9, I think 90% of people end up in that range, some above, some below. You can never, it would be disingenuous to go on and say, okay, everyone in my 5 to 9 area is going to get 5 to 9, right? Somebody's going to get above, somebody's going to get below. A lot of people will get in the range. And that's what you try to do. Otherwise, you're going to go out there and your forecast like 0 to 14 every time. Just like that doesn't help people, right? Brandon, an empty comment. I hope you're happy. This guy's always rooting for snow. JFK tomorrow night for arrivals might be tough. Again, I'm not an airline expert by any means, but I mean, pretty decent snowstorm down here. I mean, this is JFK, right? 5-6 inches of snow. Wind, does that 30-mile-an-hour winds? Does that make a difference? It's all right. It's all right, Dan. You can miss it. Basically, latest modeling, pretty much everyone's a 5 to 8. I did say, hey, there's a chance here, Western Connecticut, from Bethel, Brookfield. Somebody has Brett Brookfield here too. There's a chance we can go up to, that 8 to 10 range, maybe 12, maybe. But I think, I like my 5 to 9 for now. I like it. And Brandon is happy. That's an update there. Yep. No escaping this one. That's exactly it, right? Richfield's always fun because you do have some elevation there. And you can see that these models, these high res models really do try to call that out. So maybe it's 6.4 at Danbury Airport, but it's like trying to call out 7 in Richfield and Reading because it's a little higher in Newtown. But you're in that 5 to 9 range. I would lean towards the higher end of the range in the higher elevations. Yeah, again with the rain, I really don't think it rains. Maybe some drizzle, but the dew point's below freezing, so it tells me that if there's precipitation coming in and it's heavy enough, which it looks like it will be, and we lower to the dew point, it'll snow. At least that's how I think about it. Could be wrong. New Fairfield always wins with the totals, Terry. What are you talking about? And the New Fairfield people will tell you that. And the funniest part to me, and again, we've been ranting on, and I do have to get reports out by 11. So, the funniest part to me about New Fairfield is the people there will tell you they get the most snow when it's like clearly somebody else in Litchfield County got more snow than you. Maybe you got the most snow in Fairfield County, right? but they brag about snow like nobody else. It's like a patch of it's like a pride of New Fairfield is their snow. I said that's the upside. So again, I like my 5 to 9 range pretty much everywhere. I might have to expand it south and east. That might be tomorrow morning's map based on these latest guidance. I have these towns in 3 to 6 right now here in like Middlesex County, New London County, Tallinn County, Windham County. But the upside, I think in Western Connecticut's 8 to 12, but I like 5 to 9, if that makes sense. Yeah, Rebel Pride. Yeah, absolutely. Start window, Liz. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for asking that question. We can just do it on the snow map here. So no snow, no snow, no snow. Okay. So basically between 4 and 5, we pick up a dusting on this model. And then we go downhill quick. And by 9 p.m., 10 p.m., we already have 5 inches on the ground. And then it kind of winds down from there. I do think that's when it could underdo it a little bit. I think if we get a band when we're winding down around midnight and we add an inch an hour of snow, that's when you could see that 8 to 12 max, right? But, and this is fine. Terry's going to take 5 to 9. That's awesome. Yeah, Donna, we do this. This is how hard I work for you guys, right? I'm just kidding. Once I get going, it's hard, especially in these storms. It's so exciting, right? We don't get this every day. I need to maximize my live videos. But yeah, no, I will end it. I mean, we can if anything crazy happens, I'll jump back on, but it'll probably just be regular scheduled updates from now. So, oh yeah, yeah, I did. So, wind down by is in the heaviest, most consistent snow. A lot of the models do have some after midnight. So, like midnight to 2 to 3, it's still snowing. It's just not. It's not your inch an hour rates anymore. Yeah, so that's the end, right? And somewhere between midnight and like 2 or 3 a.m. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Really do appreciate it. Makes it a lot of fun. I didn't really prepare for this one because the 3-year-old did not have a good time going to sleep tonight, so I didn't get on and like load everything up in advance. So I do apologize if it was a little bit disjointed, but I think we did okay. Oh, I like this. Sorry, I like this question. One more. What's the lowest total accumulation that you see possible? I like that. That's a cool question. 3 or 4 inches, probably like the lowest if everything went wrong. 3 or 4 inches. That's just like if everything went right, 10 to 12, right? Nobody asks about if everything went wrong. So thank you, JD. All right, but yeah, I was signing off. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. I think that's all I have to plug. So have a great night. Enjoy the snow.